You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
With us today is special guest, Dr. Diego Salinas, MD, National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach. He's the co-founder of Vibely.io. Dr. Diego here is on a mission to provide a more accessible, affordable, HIPAA-compliant software, specifically a management platform for coaches, business coaches. So we're so excited to chat more about how he kind of sees the marriage between technology, accessibility, how AI is kind of driving a new wave, and how we can use that while still promoting human connection. With us today is Dr. Diego. So great to meet you.
Chris, thanks for having me on. Really excited for this conversation, and thanks for making space for this.
Absolutely. As we were chatting earlier, I got to know more about why you're doing this, your passion, your mission. But can you tell us more about your journey? What were you doing before, and how did that kind of lead you into what you're doing today?
It's definitely a winding story that I would not have predicted, but I'm happy I'm here. So kind of my background, I'm a big nerd. I studied neuroscience at Brown, cognitive behavioral neuroscience. I'm curious how the brain works and how we think and how it's going to interact. And I've always been fascinated how the human body works, kind of the human condition. I went to medical school. Right? How can I help others? I'm a big teacher at heart, right? So I went to medical school and did residency in pediatrics, which is really complex because not only the patients can't talk to you, but the whole family is there as well. And in that journey, there's a lot of issues in the medical system. Now, as you can see myself turning a little more cynical and then getting more burnt out, but thinking, no, that's not who I am. Let me see how I can take my skill set in. If there's a lot of issues, that means a lot of room for improvement. So I remember having a talk with one of my attendings or my director. I said, hey, given that you know who I am and my passions, education, bedside manner, teaching, how do you see me helping the system out? Because Chris, I honestly thought if I could just learn all the pathophysiology, why things work or don't work, and explain to someone, they'll get better. But as I'll talk about in a second, it's not how the brain works, actually. So I asked her, how can I help out the system, given my strengths or what I like to do? I'll never forget her answer. She's like, Diego, I know you're passionate, you're a good doctor, you're caring, but I'll be real with you. It's a big system. It's a David and Goliath thing. Just get a full-time job and see what happens afterwards. Now, even a part-time job in medicine is still more than 40 hours a week. So I remember walking out of the office, like in this hallway and being, hold on a second. I think David wins that fight, first of all. But even if he didn't, I'd rather die trying, right? Like throwing rocks. Like we have to not give up here. And so afterwards, I wasn't sure what that would look like. But my thought was, well, I'm passionate education. And in pediatrics, I saw a lot of people come to the ER or in the hospital, the clinic with real concerns. My kid is dying because they have diarrhea. That's such normal baby poop, right? And these stories might seem trivial on the surface, but I see someone who saw I was the fourth doctor they've seen in 2 days because they thought their kid was dying. The other 3 doctors give the correct diagnosis, but didn't explain what's going on. And we have a saying in pediatrics that kids are not small adults and babies are not small kids. And one of my attendings put it very nicely. He's like, the kids don't read the books we write about them. They don't read the manuals. So I used to like think myself, people's medically educated friend. My friends always called me when they went to the doctor or their families. What happened? My husband passed out. We were in the air for 8 hours. What just went on? And so I was like, well, what if I could become people's medically educated friend in some way? And my goal was to create a program called Pediatrics for Parents, Peds for Parents. Let's talk to the parents, not the kids around. Because even if I try to talk slowly and look at your eyes, your kid's screaming, you're jumping around, you may not be the best mind for listening. Or the ER, those alarms going off. So my thought was like, okay, so the parents answer all those questions that we didn't have time to in the clinic because we're rushed, and just really help them on whatever they wanted to have help with. So at that point in my life, I was in finished residency. I was in Durham, North Carolina. My partner at the time was doing a PhD in psychology at Duke. She was like, hey, my advisor told me about this Duke health coaching program. Why don't you take that so that you can do that whole thing you want to do for parents, that Peds for Parents thing? And I was like, cool, great. I'm a nerd. I love teaching. I love learning. I'm going to learn a better way to teach. How awesome. Sign up, plop down 4 figures of down payment for this stuff. It's like, let's go. I was so ignorant to what coaching was. And that's what my passions explain what it really is. So to make a long story shorter, because it's getting long already, the instructor did a demo in front of the classroom just to see what it's really like. So my classmates went up and he was younger. He was in college. And she goes, okay, looking at the wheel of health, different parts of your well-being, what do you think you want to explore today with me? And he's like, you know what? I think I want to explore my spirituality. And I was in the back of the class, I'm like, yeah, me too, but you have 20 minutes. How are you going to answer life's biggest question? How are you going to teach this? Right. But then when I saw the process happening, I still get goosebumps because like the more it went on, I'm like, this is not teaching. This is not giving advice. This is not telling us what to do. This is cognitive behavioral neuroscience applied. Because in medicine, neurology, a lot of seizures or traumatic brain. It wasn't the brain, the body healing. And what I saw was this integration. He was so much more motivated at the end. He was excited. They had a plan. And again, I literally get goosebumps. I was like, it has aha moment. This is what's missing in healthcare. About three quarters, depending on what study you look at, our morbidity means side effects, mortality means death, and cost expenditure is based on behavior change. So clearly what we're doing is not working. Just a fact. We're not addressing that, right? Once you have a heart attack, we know how to open it up with the balloon cath, but we're not really good at convincing people to take care of their things that lead to the heart attack. And I was trained by, hey, just tell people all the bad things that will happen. You have diabetes, your eyes, your kidneys, right? Let me put an example of this, Chris. I think we wish the brain worked differently. I just explain things the right way, you'll get it. Why this is important. Everyone in the world knows smoking is linked to cancer. No one's like, I didn't know that, but I know doctors who smoke, right? If we can step back and take our emotional look from it, clearly it's not how the brain works. The brain is more complicated, it doesn't work this way. This coaching is actually working with how the brain works and really how each brain is individual and different. We have 100 billion neurons, depending on how you quantify it. Can make 10 trillion synapses, depending on how you quantify it again. And that's only part of the cells of our brain. It doesn't include all the vasculature, the immune cells, etc. So when I mean we're all different, it's not just kumbaya. It's actual mathematics. There's never been two brains exactly the same. So to me, this is actually personalized medicine here. And when I've done research in the past, both lab work, but also hospital quality improvement work, I realized the bottleneck in our well-being and healthcare is not in learning more information. It's actually just in applying what we know. We can apply what we know in my lifetime. There could be healthcare, like a public health difference in my lifetime. And so since then, that was 2018. I've been diving headfirst into coaching. I still teach at Duke University where I trained. I'm now involved in University of Houston's inaugural program. And this year, I was really proud to work with the National Board of Medical Examiners. That's when your doctor's board certified. There's now a subset of that. It's a nonprofit, the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches. And you take exams on this. You get board certified. It's a continuing education credits. And they had a committee to update the exam material, but also the programs. And I went to Philadelphia this year to start that. And as I pulled up from the car, I was like, wait a second. I saw the logo, MBA. I was here 12 years ago taking medical step exams. Here I'm trying to write the new exams for the next generation, right? So you can be David. Throw those rocks. You never know what's going to happen. And so that's how I started coaching. And then I'll pause there and tell how I found Vibely from that. That's kind of my story into coaching.
That is so cool. What an incredible journey. It's like you were kind of seeing these problems and these issues. And you're like, there's a communication barrier, but there isn't. But how do we get them to actually apply it? And I feel like the same issues there apply to everyone else's lives in business and personal matters. They know what they should do. They know diet and exercise is good for them, but actually applying that, how do we bring that all together? So I love that you made that your mission, your purpose. And now it's brought more into the coaching side because you felt like that was the more effective way to get people to understand it and then apply it. And specifically, you saw more issues with software accessibility, HIPAA compliance. It is lawfully in place because it's a law, but it could just be a good idea anyways, because it's a higher level of security. And then how is that beneficial to the coaches and people who are kind of working with the public?
Yeah. So part of the training from Health and Wellness Coaching Board is saying you understand what HIPAA compliance is, right? They basically, those who don't understand, it's the technical version of what your doctor should do. They're not going to talk about you online, right? They're going to keep your information private because you're thinking about being fully vulnerable. You need to have that trust there. You're talking about the hardest things. This is both in business and in medicine. Because ultimately, when you work with someone, it's a whole system. People say work life, home life. I'm like, it's the same cells in both situations. And so HIPAA is basically a set of rules of what's the that meets that standard. It's the highest level encryption that keeps medical data as safe as possible. And so for solo coaches, there's a lot of difficulty. So as passionate about education, I love being academic and nerding out. There's this reality of the real world. A lot of coaches I know don't actually practice coaching. It's hard to be a solopreneur. Everyone thinks, I thought too, oh, perfect. I'm a doctor. I'm just going to put a website. It's going to rain clients on me. It's a whole business to be a solopreneur. Or they might work for contracting. A company does coaching, or basically they're employed there or contracted there and they have to coach in that way. So you might get some consistent pay, but I'll be frank with you, it's usually not very good hourly rate. And often not knocking it, just the reality. Also limited how you can practice and what you can talk about. Your sessions are limited how long you talk about. Like, for example, I coach adolescents. A lot of people don't want to touch that because it's a liability. I'm a pediatrician. Why can't I help these people out? And so to me, coaching is interesting. It's a very evidence-based approach. It's a science of behavior change, but it's with the creativity and the background information wherever someone brings. So I'm a physician. I help doctors with burnout, I help parents with new diagnoses, I help adolescents, right? Everyone can bring their own people have MBAs or they help leadership coaching or business coaching and the well-being of that entrepreneur. Ultimately, it's all connected. But to back to HIPAA compliance, that's one big barrier. Coaches say, well, these platforms HIPAA compliant are very expensive. And having that kind of overhead, if you're not sure you're your next client and you just put all this money down, becomes a barrier to becoming a coach. Or they're very clunky. If you look at medicine, one of the number cause of burnout is use of the electronic medical record. I think I saw a stat that when I was in training, that first year residents spent 70% of the time with the computer. And it feels like you're living in a twilight zone because you see how much your phone helps you in your personal life, but why is it so clunky in healthcare? You feel like you're kind of being gaslit, to be honest with you, by technology. What's possible, but then why can't search as PDF on this? What are you talking about? How is that impossible? So my goal is to both lower that barrier for coaches because if more coaches can now have their solo practice, however big or small it is, a lot of coaching is happening word of mouth, referrals. You meet someone, what do you do? If those coaches now are ready, what's your email? Let me invite you right now to a HIPAA compliant platform. Or they're talking to a physician or a health organization. Sure, send your patients on a HIPAA compliant platform. My goal is to give solo coaches the tools that are usually just reserved for these big companies for their solo practice, including privacy. So if we're asking our clients to be fully open and vulnerable, we should have the tools to back it up. Right. So if you're a surgeon, you can't do surgery in a jungle. How can I give coaches these kind of tools? Each coach has a different tools that they might need. So how can I create a software platform that allows autonomy to shine? I don't tell you how to practice. I give you the tools. Another analogy, if you're a chef, different tools. You decide how you're going to make your recipe. And so really to empower the solo coach, because we know from science and think about anyone who's business, anyone who's passionate about their own business, it's not based in logic to stay at the 2 a.m. working on something. It's because your passion drives you. You're curious about this. And we know when we're excited and naturally curious, that natural value or vision, that's the best motivation you can't replace. That's what coaching is meant to do. Coaches to amplify internal motivation. So my thought is if I can allow coaches to be their full authentic selves, do the things that they're passionate. I want to help out caregivers in burnout because my mom had Alzheimer's. That's how I was. I want to help people in that condition. I'm helping people who are going through endometriosis or postmenopausal, whatever the case may be. They have the skills and the resources and the creativity to help through this evidence-based way. Diversity of what we cover will mirror the diversity of people we're serving, even the way we serve them. For example, do very long sessions, 90 minutes plus. I know coaches like 15 minutes max. Great. Let's both exist in the world and not just because when you're scaling technology, often you want to standardize. It's easier to do. But then the problem is you sometimes lose the magic of it. And I think sometimes people chase being efficient so much, they lose being efficacious. There's going to be more transformation.
I just wanted to agree because I know firsthand, I have experience with a lot of different CRM platforms and different softwares, and the pricing can be from hundreds to thousands of dollars per month, depending on the size of the team. It is not as accessible. So bringing that all together, I worked with healthcare practices before as an employee, and I've been in the old EMR platforms, the tab through looking like it's the green letters from the Matrix because you're working in an old school database and trying to get platforms to work together. So it was always tough and a struggle. And it was like, there's more going on behind the scenes that I really know of. And I think for most people, if they want something easier to get into, something that is just more intuitive, the affordability standpoint is so huge too, because then it opens up this door. This is possible. It just seemed like really expensive, shiny car, object, whatever that they could never really realistically afford. but now they can, which is so cool.
I go from there, Chris. Exactly. It's like I'm opening the doors. 'Cause my thought is, I love coaching. I only have so many hours in my day. There's like 10,000 national chart coaches. If each one could see a few more handful of clients per year, it's tens of thousands of people we would help out. Not only you mentioned the matrix looking clunky, but all of them are also only meant for the coach, for the provider, quote unquote, experience. Really
Yeah.
just meant for the billing experience. What's it meant for? The providers don't like using it. And my other co-founders, so the whole founding team is either coach or a client. I'm happy to share a story of how we met, but want that connection to be fostered. And my client's like, I want to use this platform for myself. I don't want to use it with my clients. They're very direct with me. Like, is this actually serving to give you a better experience? And along HIPAA compliance, one last thing I want to add on to this at least, and I'm very proud of this. We are not selling you or your client's data, period. You are not the end result. You are not the product. Neither is your client. I say, if a company's not bragging about that, just I'll leave it at that. So once you only have one name in your lifetime, use it right. How do you make it so cheap? This is not cheap at all. My goal is to make it affordable. I want to lower the barrier and have this be your companion, however big or small your practice is. Because coaching, the reality is your practice will change with time. Summertime, people go on vacation, for example. January 1st, a lot of people want your help. You may work for contract position for a company, and then that's kind of keep you busy or teaching. So my goal is, how can this be your companion for your solo practice, robust enough for a full-time coach, affordable enough for a student in training, to always be ready? Because if you're not ready when you meet that potential lead, you never know what it's going to be. I have people like coffee shops, friends of friends. Well, my site, if you're not ready, you're going to lose it. We know from business, but also from coaching, this concept. The more time between thought and action, the more inaction there is. So while it looks friendly to use, there was a lot of neuroscience of behavior change and actions built into all parts of the platform.
Very, very well said. And I love the mission and purpose that you're driving force to why you wake up every day, and getting the name out there is so important. With technology and the advances, AI is a big player. It started with some algorithms and sorting mechanisms. Now it's become chatbots and all-knowing being. Now there's voice, and there's so many different uses for AI. How do you see it being integrated within your platform and just with other business professionals being used?
Yeah. So great question. So AI is great for a lot of things. And my goal is to use it for everything to support that human connection. So for example, we have an AI matching algorithm. People don't search by a certain word, they search by what problems do they have? How can we make that connection more natural? Or also, how can we help use AI to facilitate the coaches and clients experience, their knowledge base? And be very clear here. We all, I believe, main founder is a tech coder, he's an engineer. You just cannot replace human connection with AI. It's not what it's meant to be. And there are companies who say, we're going to use AI for health coaching. That's just going to solve all the problems. It's just a fancy version of, I'm going to give you more worksheets and less paid time with your doctor. That doesn't work. We've tried it many times. And now there's a lot of potential good benefit from it. And I would say there's plenty of studies showing this, but I kind of put it in a way I think everyone can understand more intuitively. If you just lost a family member, do you want to talk to a computer or a person? You just found out that your kid has cancer or you have cancer. Do you want to talk to a computer or a person?
Don't send me
Oh
through one
my,
of
I
those
had
automated chatbots, like press one for this. I'm like, no, I need a person.
yeah, representative,
Zero, zero. Yeah.
zero. How often in medicine do I get someone with a printout? Like, hey, I have this. I'm like, no, different one. There's a mug someone my thing had. Your Google search does not replace my MD degree. And it's great for looking for knowledge, but it's the human decision making. Really, the empathy and connection just can't be replaced. We are carbon based beings. Another version I'll say is, think about this. When you're by yourself in a room and someone walks in the room, you feel different. It could be someone that you know that you really like, someone you dislike, someone you don't know. It's different. We affect each other. So instead of kind of hand fist how the brain should work, like, let's follow how the brain does work. It's a powerful tool. And if a company is not telling you they're using AI and pass off as a human, to me, that's fraud with a capital F. Now, they're great to help me. I have very much ADHD. I'll sometimes use AI to organize my thoughts. I'll just talk out loud, and that's a nice organization of it. So what we're trying to do, a few different things our coaches have been asking for. Generally, I'm here to listen to coaches, what they need, so we can serve. One thing is note taking. Medical industry or even coaching industry, people don't have to love documentation. Again, in medicine, everyone calls it burnout.
Absolutely.
I was like, oh, I can't do more paperwork. It can be very empowering on someone's So
I
like
think about
nowadaes,
that,
it doesn't
just
see
sitting there
patients.
like,
I mean, sit down.
oh, I wish I had more paperwork. Like, I said, no, whatever.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I remember in medicine, sometimes you're finishing a shift and you see someone walk in and people go, oh my God. And not because of the patient. There's 40 minutes of notes attached to this. It's this 5-minute interaction. And part of burnout that I want to solve also. So there's many models for burnout. Mine was moral injury, but also there's models saying it's how much things you enjoy doing versus the ratio of things you don't enjoy doing, right? All work will involve things that you don't. Like you love what you're doing. There's some parts like, which CRM platform should I use, right? Like I love work, my emails. So that's just a reality. But you want to make sure that ratio is in balance. So when companies start shortening provider time, but they don't shorten the paperwork time, you've changed that ratio, right? So when you're seeing 40 people a day, you're giving it your all. What about their values and just even having that burden on you? So can we use AI for note taking, but also it's going to help coaches be more present in their sessions. A lot of coaching is like really looking at the nuance of what's happening. There's just tone shift here. You're trying to make these complex reflections. You have to be super present. If you're with a client and all they see is like your forehead or the top of your head like this, you're going to miss out on some of these other body posture change. When I coach, train people at Duke University, I say, listen, try to not take notes for the session. Try to follow the client. So it can help both students focus on skills, but also advanced practitioners that can throughout that. Also for our clients, they're going to have a deliverable at the end of the session now. Here's my journey, my takeaways, my barriers, my thing. And it's very empowering because when you think about change, we often look only the next step ahead. We don't look at how much I changed in 3 months. Clients go, oh, it's been the same. Look at the assessment from 3 months ago. Wow, I have changed a lot. Back then I didn't know what self-compassion was. And now I'm like, no one's cutting to my sleep. That's a massive change, but you don't notice those day by day differences. So it helps the client's journey as well. We have our section on our platform where clients can write their own notes for themselves or share with the coach.
Nice.
Some
So
more
it
dynamic
becomes more
documentation.
collaborative.
I tell people, I'm next from behavior change, or you're next from yourself. I don't know what's going to make you happy. Not only that, we're going to run experiments every week. It's a scientific method. What makes Chris fulfilled or happy? Only you can ask that. I cannot know that for you. It's philosophical. I'm saying I've trained and you're the expert in yourself. Another thing we're using AI for is AI resource library. So people come in, hey, Google this. I want to create the largest vetted kind of resource hub for well-being and professional development, whole range, right? So we're adding to this database, but also the coaches can add and vet this information as well. So now clients can sign on and maybe they don't know they need coaching now. They just wanted more information. They might search not just by a keyword, but they can search and then the AI, use AI to basically summarize all the resources. It could be an article, PDF, a YouTube link of this podcast. AI will give you, hey, it's a podcast, 30-minute listen. Here's the overview, what's for. This is the article, 10-minute read, overview, who it's for. Want to share with me. So we can also kind of help digest this information and peruse it, but also then search for it and give me results plus references. I don't want to look at that read article. What does it say to do? The cool thing, Chris, is because we're a HIPAA compliant ecosystem, this is all HIPAA compliant. You're not selling your data. You're not going to be part of a system. We give the coach and the client the option to use all our tools. I don't tell people how to work. If you don't want to use HIPAA compliant AI, don't take it. Don't use it. We have a whole trust center to show every hour our system is being monitored by a third-party company to make sure we're HIPAA compliant. So we want to be transparent. But the cool thing, Chris, because we're an ecosystem now, we're experimenting with how can we have AI that's looking at the note-taking, communicate the AI that's in charge of the resource library and give personalized recommendations. You're working on stress management, okay? Your clients having trouble sleeping. Oh, hey, we saw this article from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine on sleep hygiene. Do you want to send to your client? So specialized information that's dependent on what the client is talking about in session, what they're writing down in takeaways. What you as a coach are notice. You create a program. Can you embed some information into the program creation? And the other thing, there's more things we're going to do for AI as well. Like I don't know how much I want to say now or not, depending on how much you away from our coders and the timing of this. So one thing I will say that I haven't said before publicly, but I'm happy to share this, is we're looking also how AI can help the professional development. So I teach this stuff, right? And there's different ways of coding and grading, coaching or helping. But the reality is when you feel great as a coach, people say, oh, I feel really great. We feel great when we give advice and our clients are making change, but it doesn't mean we're doing good. Humans feel great when they give advice. It's not what coaching is not giving advice. Coaching is not telling someone to do, hey, you should eat kale and do yoga as I did. It's not coaching. It's the opposite of coaching, right? And now when I see this every week, when I train students, when the clients go through uncertainty, a hard time, really getting to the weeds, that's like the best coaching I see people do. But they go, oh, that was a really hard session. That was hard. That doesn't mean feel great for you. It's not what it's about. So for example, we can look at AI and say, hey, how long is the coach versus the client talking. There's no magic number, but the rule we say generally is 80-20. 80% should be the client talking, sorry. Because more neurons that fire the wire together. It's about them convincing themselves. There's a guy, Dr. Stephen Miller, he literally wrote the book on motivational interviewing, which is what coaching is based off of. He spoke at a conference this summer and he said, guys, if we give all the ahas, we don't leave anything for the clients to do for themselves. So again, a data point that can help you be a provider. Or coaching, for example, last thing I'll say here is it's a place of non-judgment. People hear non-judgment, they often think, don't say anything negative. But if I go, Chris, I like your glasses, don't judge me. I like them, I also dislike them. If I'm proud of you, I can be disappointed in you. If I think it's an awesome plan, I can think it can be a terrible plan. So medicine is a lot of, hey, good job, awesome, way to go. Coaching is non-judgmental. That's why they struggle with that reflex. I did too. So you can say, hey, man, how often am I using these kind of words? Or open versus close and other kind of tools in coaching. So my idea helps the provider be their part of the code of ethics of coaching is you're constantly improving, just like our clients are. You didn't take a program a year ago and then why I teach is because it keeps me honest, keeps me sharp on my coaching skills. Otherwise, it's easy to revert back to being a human being. We're all going to be human beings. Being coaching is not being a friend. It's really different, actually. So I'll pause there. But some of the things we're using for AI, it is to take away all the stuff that coaches don't want to do so they can focus on their client work. Better burnout ratio, better delivery, better care. And what that means, business coaching, health coaching, better integration.
I love that. There's no doubt with the advances in technology, not only AI, but other softwares and tools. And how can we make this better work for the end user and the client and the provider across the board? We're now allowing humans to take on higher value tasks, have more intimate connections with people, and let the AI kind of do the work in the background, same as computational software would run numbers for us. We don't need to crunch those numbers. We don't need to extrapolate on this data. We'll let another software take care of that for us. And it's so important. Dr. Diego, where can more people find out about you online? How can they connect with you and with Vibly.io?
Yeah. So our website, www.vibly.io. It's VIBLY.io. And Vibly comes from the term vibrant and lively mixed together. You can see there we have stuff for the coaches, but also for the clients as well. I'm also happy to share my LinkedIn and my email. My email is Diego, Diego, at Vibly, VIBLY.io. And I'll also share my LinkedIn name as well, maybe in chats. I think it's / Diego Salinas MD is my username. But then happy to connect with anyone, whether you're a coach, you're a client, you're curious about partnering together. I love brainstorming with other people. To me, it's the community is what makes it work, right? The different ideas coming together, that synergy is business. It's just magic. So I have a lot of ideas, but I want to hear from other people's ideas. How can we create something even better that I haven't thought about yet? So please connect with me. As you can tell, I love nerding about this topic and any topic in general. To me, it just gives you more motivation and keeps me going at night at 1 a.m. when I work on these projects.
That's when you're in your zone of genius and you're just flying the work. It doesn't seem like work anymore, which is great. And we'll have the links available down in the show notes and the descriptions so you can get quick access to Dr. Diego Salinas here. Diego, do you have any last parting wisdom, maybe something you wish you knew sooner, earlier in your career, or maybe your own aha moment, something that might be impactful for a lot of our listeners here?
Yeah, I think about for coaches, but I think it helps for everyone. It's just get started. Don't let perfection be the enemy of greatness. I spent way too long on like, well, let me find the right LLC name and the font on my website and what is it going to be and my about me. How to describe who I am. And I would meet someone. Oh, you're awesome. What's your Just get something out there and you can always iterate on it. And making change, I'll say maybe another general coaching concept that I wish I knew earlier. Making change requires being consistent, but that does not mean doing the exact same thing over again. Maybe it's consistently retrying, learning what didn't work. So just keep on trying and be open to following what you feel. That's a data point we should all take into account. And if you need help, the people out there who help figuring that out as well. So a few parting points. I couldn't just choose this one, Chris. I have many more.
No, and it is absolutely great advice because too many people suffer from the inaction and they're longing for this perfection. Maybe one more video, one more book will kind of teach me the next thing that will absolutely unlock the door. And unfortunately, there's more to be said with just the imperfect action that you take. Go ahead and take the action. You'll learn along the way. You can fix things as you go, but you won't learn until you try. And I don't think a lot of people realize the success of entrepreneurs. You see the one thing out of 10 that they tried, that they succeeded at, but you don't see the failures. And I think that could be applied to many other people and in life and business. as well. So it's great advice.
Can I add one more analogy to that, Chris?
Please do. Okay,
It made me
yeah,
think about,
bring
so
it
I
on.
all the same lines, right? So one of my things, I love rollerblading and skating as my kind of like physical activity. I'm very playful. It forced for me. 3 years I started doing it again. And I was skating around here. I live in Miami and I was getting some ice cream, to be honest with you. I was getting a little snack or something. And someone said, "What if you fall?" And I was like, "You fell when you learned to walk. You're going to fall. So if we let that stop us, no one in the world would be walking." And the thing is, change takes so much time that we don't remember what it was like to be a beginner. So when you try something new, I play guitar. When I tried on a keyboard, I was like, it's impossible. I've been playing for 20 years. This is why it's so easy. We forget how hard it is, right, to the beginning. So allow yourself to be a beginner. Be like Thomas Edison. See what doesn't work and just consistently getting back up. That's the key. Consistently learning how to get back up. That's what resilience is. Minimizing falling, getting back up more quickly. That's resilience.
I love it. Dr. Diego Salinas, thank you so much for joining us and imparting this wisdom on us and our listeners. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and maybe we'll have to have you come back for part 2 once AI goes on for another 6 months. It'll be completely changed. We'll have more things to talk about, but I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. It really was a pleasure talking to you. I love what you're doing too. And I love having you on our podcast as well. Let's continue the conversation. I'm glad now we're connected. That community is growing.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. If you want to plug your podcast, feel free. Just mention it.
Oh, yeah. So our podcast is called Coach Connect. And the reason it's called that is because when I took that course in 2018, I wrote Coach Connect, cut the middleman, find a way easy for coaches to work. So it's kind of a dream come true. We do a live podcast every other Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Our next one is actually tomorrow. So September 26th, or I'm sure this is going to be recorded, but that schedule. And tomorrow we're talking about health insurance coverage for coaching, tomorrow's topic. And our goal is about coaching, behavior change, and anything that falls in the massive umbrella.
Excellent. That is so cool. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll have the links available down in the description. And Dr. Diego, congratulations on your past success and keep up the great work pursuing your passion and your purpose.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for motivation. It's really been inspiring. And you do the same. We're doing a lot of parallel things in different industries. So it always keeps you motivated to see someone with a big heart doing their expertise in their own way. So thank you for the inspiration you give me today.
Save here. I appreciate that. Thanks so much.